Hello again, everyone. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, I call it July bull trap question mark, because that's exactly what we could be in. We could be in a little mini July bull trap. And as you look at the chart here, you can see the Dow, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq Composite are all sitting at new all-time highs. And wow, that's great. It's pretty amazing. But when you look at underneath the covers a little bit, we are getting non-confirmation. These are weekly views, weekly charts. We are getting non-confirmation on the indicators here, especially the RSI, 10-bar RSI, not confirming this last thrust to the upside. And it doesn't matter whether you look at the Dow, the S&P, or the Nasdaq, we're getting non-confirmations in all three. Now, the Dow, not quite as much as what's showing on the S&P and the Nasdaq Composite, but the other thing is the Dow hasn't taken out that March 10th high. So watching to see, it's sitting at a closing high, all-time high, but hasn't taken out that March 10th high just yet. Today we're focusing on the S&P 500. Let's go back and zoom in on this weekly view. So here's the picture. Here's that non-confirmation. Not quite as sharp as what happened in February, March of last year. We definitely have a little trend line break. And the trend line I drew in here is similar to the trend line I drew in 2020. And that is, I took a low below the 50 level on the RSI, and then the next dip down. Same thing I did here. Here's the RSI dip below 50. And then this last dip down that occurred and drew a trend line. So I'll be watching this closely to see, do we get a breakdown? Do we get a rollover? This is the weekly. But when you look at the daily view even, there is a small non-confirmation that's also showing up in this picture with this last thrust to the upside in here. We had some turbulence in the middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that big move down on Thursday. So everybody's kind of like, a little bit of a relief rally on Friday. Now, there is no doubt Friday's rally was pretty strong. There was 91% of the total volume on the New York was to the upside. So we had a strong move to the upside in here, but we'll see what kind of follow through do we get. Look at the Elliott Wave picture. Here's the picture I've got. Now, I've got this high labeled as the end of the fifth wave, the fifth minute wave, fifth minor wave, fifth intermediate wave. We'll see whether that plays out. So I just want to show you that counting up from that October 30th low, okay, that we are counting 5 waves and looking for 5 waves to finish off this fifth minute wave. By the minute wave, I'm talking about this little Roman numeral 5 here with a circle in the red. Okay, that's the minute waves. And within that 5 wave, I'm looking for 5 waves underneath it, right in here. Now, this is a very short abbreviated wave the way I have it labeled. It may or may not be the case. It's pretty short. There is no doubt about it. And when I look at the 5 waves, I'll tell you, the maximum this should go for this wave count to hold in here is 4487. Okay, that is where wave 5 will equal wave 3 in terms of these little blue Roman numerals. Okay, so that is, to me, the upper constraint if we continue to push to the upside. But when you look at the turbulence that happened in the middle of the week, this is a beautiful flat that occurred, an A, B, C expanded flat. And from that push from Thursday's low, look at what we got coming out of that. A 5-wave move. That's why I've tentatively put this as a completed wave here at the high on Friday. But it may be that this is just the first wave of the final Roman numeral blue little 5. It may be just the first wave, but there is a clear 5-wave move. And even if you take it down to the 15 minutes, it's even sharper and clearer of what's going on in here and the divergence that's showing up between 3 and 5 in terms of these minor waves that construct this final 2-day move, Thursday, Friday move, okay? So that's why I'm a little suspicious that we really may not be able to go a whole heck of a lot further. We'll see. Okay, I want to switch gears and move over and take a look at the 10-year TLT and the 10-year yield. Okay, so right now this is a weekly view of TLT, and I believe that the wave structure that we've had since that high of back here in March of 2020, this peak, I think that was the end of the primary five-wave move to the upside, and now we're working our way back down, and I think this first wave is a leading diagonal pattern. I was looking for more of an impulsive wave, but this move that developed right here in the fourth wave clearly is much stronger and more in line with the type of move that we had for this second wave. So I believe this is what fits in here for the wave structure on a weekly basis. And if this is correct, then what we're looking at is another move down, another push down to complete this fifth wave. And what is that going to do? That is going to drive the 10-year yield higher. So if we take a look at the 10-year yield, it got a pretty good bounce when TLT dropped. It got a bounce because it does go in the opposite direction, right? And it closed at 1.3, when you round it, 1.36% on the 10-year yield. So if we continue to push down, let me go back to TLT. Sorry, let me go here. We continue to push down, we will most likely take out that, the low here that occurred in March 14th, 2021. And the 10-year yield was at 1.76%. Remember, everybody at that point, we're all thinking, wow, we're going to 2% on the 10-year yield, and then it just kind of stopped. Well, I would imagine that if we continue to push down here in this fifth wave, we're going to go above 2% on the 10-year yield. So we'll see what happens there. All right, now I want to look at Bitcoin and get an update on Bitcoin. We're going to start off here by looking at GBTC. Okay, this is all the data I've got on the Bitcoin ETF GBTC. And what's interesting is this low, this is back here in that data in 2015. And I've got this labeled as cycle wave 1, 2, and that we're in cycle wave 3, and that we're in the third primary wave of cycle wave 3 to the upside. I've continued to look at this. I really don't see any reason not to change this, but I just want to make you aware that if you're thinking Bitcoin is in the third cycle wave up, I don't believe that's correct. That is GBTC's cycle wave. This is all the data on Bitcoin. Okay, this goes back and shows the low in 2011, October 2011. GBTC didn't start until here in 2015. So it doesn't reflect the first major push up in Bitcoin. So in Bitcoin, you got to look at this and say, well, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. And I really debated, is this all 4 or is this 4? And I believe that this is 4. And I think we're doing this, and that within this final fifth push on Bitcoin, that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're about to do this. That's what I think is happening with Bitcoin. And if you come back over here, and the reason why I felt like this low here in February 2019, that this was the start of a new thrust up, is because it was a clear 5-wave move up and a nice zigzag wave too. And now we're trying to find the 5 waves in here for the third wave, the third primary wave. So again, I think we're in the fifth and final wave up here for Bitcoin. The thing that's been a little bit frustrating is this low that happened a couple of weeks ago. If we look at the daily, let's take a look. We've just struggled with anything coming off the low to get something impulsive, but so far it's holding. It may be that it's something like this. I mean, it may be something like actually here. Like this is 1, and then this is 2, and it's some kind of expanded flat for 2. But really what needs to happen is Bitcoin needs to hit the jets and start pushing to the upside here. We'll see if we get that short term. But there's no reason. The only other thing that bothers me a little bit, I'll have to say, is that this move, this pullback for wave 4, was a lot deeper and bigger than I ever thought it was going to be. I did not expect it to come down below 2248. It did go slightly below that. So we'll see if this starts to push and resumes the push to the upside here. But that's the best picture I've got on Bitcoin right now and GBTC. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, here's the picture. And I think that we're trying to get this last leg up here on Bitcoin. And if that starts to happen, you know, the projection, you know, just making a projection from this high parallel to this line right here, which connects the lows, then, you know, you're talking about well up over $100,000 on Bitcoin. I mean, you'd be talking about up here, if it were to go to the top of this line, 160, 165,000 or something like that. Well, we'll see if it even gets that far, but right now it needs to turn and get going. All right, so that's the picture on Bitcoin. And that is the end of the video for today. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up on the on YouTube. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. If you'd like more of this kind of information on a daily basis, we talk about this every day. Head on over to joehenches.net. Check out the website and the membership. Everyone have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.